full-time employees at this point. Our goal was to hire 6 this year, and we've hired 4 or 5. The end result of that whole fiasco in '08 and '09 was that our plan is extremely tight and extremely focused and quite conservative. And my CFO grew quite a bit professionally during that time period, and our agreement is basically that I'm not allowed to get out of line anymore. So. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Should you not start a business when you're married?
I wouldn't say you shouldn't, but my brother once told me that CEOs don't make good husbands or good fathers. I'm both. I'm not really going to disagree with him, but it's a demanding job. If you're married, unless your wife is on the same page 100%, ideally she's assisting you in the business and is a part of the business. You can do it when you're married, but it's going to be all that you do. What are you saying, Dad? Yes. For PR, we have an in-house. My marketing director is fantastic, and he's got a couple people that work under him. But our focus has always been on, once we got out of that trade show phase, we did that for a couple of years, and we had established our brand. Our goal is to attract people in basically through efficient channel marketing. So we do our organic search engine optimization. We do our press releases. We understand how Google works, and that's our primary driver from a marketing standpoint. So content is everything, really, and we spend, from a PR standpoint, we put out a lot of content every day. And we outsource a lot of it. We have a couple teams that do nothing but write articles. 40 articles a day from one of the teams is pretty much an average, 40 a day. And then, no, that doesn't include any of the internal stuff. We do put out our own internal PR, but we don't outsource the high-level marketing or PR stuff. Yes?
How did you handle the laying off employees? Did you, like, I know in some businesses that I've been in, not that you're not loyal, so I'm not saying that, but there's, like, employee loyalty, and they're like, what do we say, do everything they can not to lay off employees. How did you deal with having
I did, the way I did it, there was a layoff that absolutely had to happen. There were people there were projects that we were going to stop doing. I simply didn't need them, and for better or worse, they had only been with the company for 6 months or so. The core of our business, what I did once the layoff was done was propose to them that we were going to withhold 20% of their paychecks, and if we hit our number every month, they'd get it all back. And we never missed a month, so they never missed a dime. I didn't get a paycheck for the year. My partner got a 25%, 75% pay cut. And pretty much everybody else was able to keep their pay where it was at. But that was, for me, it's, I'll go down with a ship, and it worked out. I'm almost back to where I should be. Yes, sir.
It listed on your website,
Mm-hmm.
It says you ship your product internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that you do have business overseas.
We do.
So I think with your story and also with our education here from marketing area, I mean, one of the ways for business to gain profit is to sell valuable proposition and to gain market shares.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe your corporations towards that way internationally?
So our business is predominantly hardware retail. It's the same. We approach it pretty much the same way. It really comes down to 2 issues for us from an international standpoint. And we, in '06, we sold internationally. In '07, '08, we didn't because of fraud control. From a business standpoint, especially if you're an online retailer, you really need to have that dialed. And we lost about $140,000 in fraudulent international transactions. You can protect yourself domestically, but once you get overseas, it's tough. We turned it back on this year. Our goal was to grow by 15% this year, and we were able to establish a relationship overseas with a company that guarantees the validity of the transactions. And as a result, our sales have grown by 10%, or 9 and change. So getting to 15 a whole lot easier when that 10 comes in. But we do sell internationally. It's 9% of our business, roughly. There's a couple countries we don't ship to. There's a translation service out there that we use from time to time, where there's somebody that functions as an intermediary if they need to have a conversation with a sales engineer or something like that, that they can talk. Logistics is the other piece. Getting product overseas is difficult. You can buy anything from anywhere in the world and get it into the U.S. without taxation and without really much of a problem. You can't do that anywhere else in the world. You can't ship anything to anywhere without it getting heavily taxed if it gets through customs. So it's very difficult. Our shipping manager has gone through at least 15 trainings on international logistics and stuff, and still difficult. We don't operate in any other geographic area. We do have a warehouse in Canada that we work out of, but we haven't made it to Europe yet. Yes, sir.
Ben, you hear a lot from business people in New York that it's very difficult to start and run business because of New York State taxation, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What have you, I mean, but you've been successful. What would you say about running a business in New York compared to maybe somewhere else? Has it been challenging, or is it not that bad?
It is that bad. It's a cost of business, and you really just got to make sure your margins are high enough to cover it. I mean, healthcare is another one. It's a big expense for us, and taxes are a big expense, but they're known, you know, and we build it into our pricing. So it's not beneficial for our customers by any means. You know, they would probably benefit financially if we moved and went to a different state. And even personally, you know, a lot of valuable and skilled talent leaves because they don't want to live in New York and pay the income tax. So I think that's probably a bigger piece of it. I mean, people aren't flocking to Buffalo, you know. So. Any other questions? Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about like your advertising for your company and what all you do for that?
When we first started, like I said, we did some trade shows, and that was our initial entrance into the marketplace. When we got into VoIP, it was a timing thing. There were only a couple competitors, and they weren't very big, and they weren't very good. So that's our tagline: is everything you need for VoIP. And the two competitors we had at the time only sold a couple different brands. And they didn't sell enough equipment to complete a whole solution. So that was our objective, was to build a catalog that would create and solve solution problems. But then we took that to trade shows and just overdid it, way overdid it, to build that brand so that you know, when you're looking for VoIP equipment, you're going to find us. We did that for 2 years. We dabbled in print advertisement. But if you don't have a really good way to track the advertisement and where that sale came from, I kind of think it's a waste of time, waste of money. Our focus, and we don't have a huge advertising budget at this point. We focus more on natural search results, search engine optimization, and content, and driving eyeballs to the site without paying for it. But we do. It's the only other main vehicle for us is pay-per-click advertising. Some banner ads on market content sites. So the sites that write press releases and news releases and product announcements and just general information about voice over IP, we'll probably advertise on them because they do take a lot of traffic. Yes?
You mentioned that you do a lot of brands. Do you make your deals for your hardware directly with the companies that produce that hardware, or do you go to other companies?
It depends who the company is. Because we're in Voice over IP, it's a fairly small market, and some of the brands are specific to voice over IP. They don't create other products. In that case, we're going to negotiate with them directly and buy directly from them, function as a distributor, more or less. Companies like Cisco and Polycom and those sorts, they go through traditional distribution channels in which our negotiation is with them directly, but we still buy it from Ingram and Tech Data and those sorts of distribution places. But we do buy and sell enough that we can go direct to a lot of the manufacturers. Yes?
How do you recruit potential employees?
Always.
No, how?
Oh, how? Lots of ways. We do some advertising and some recruiting when we really need to. We've had a couple job fairs in-house, and those have been pretty successful. We go to the colleges that are in the area. Sales recruitment is always probably the most fun piece of it. One of my best employees was hawking cell phones at the mall, and I don't know, was making $16,000 a year selling cell phones or whatever. But he was awesome, and he came in and well, he's at the C level now. He's been there for 6 or 7 years. But we go out and find them, look for them locally.
Well, Ben, thanks for coming. And
You're welcome.
On behalf of the students here at Houghton, here's a
Oh,
huge
thanks.
little gift.
Thank you.
So if anybody